Be consulting.
So good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us back. In our previous presentation, we talked about a lot of current issues and challenges that Rent the Runway face in different aspects, such as the legal, the financial, and the ethical. However, today, we're only going to be focusing on the challenges of the ethical component that Rent the Runway is facing. So as an industry pioneer of both the rental and the resale market, Rent the Runway made big promises, and they want to deliver a new way of, new path of sustainable clothing. However, as a lot of other other companies in the fashion industries, such as H&M and Zara, Rent the Runway is having to be faced with a lot of difficult and challenging ethical issues. So one of the ethical issues that we have identified is the landfill clothing waste. So what is the landfill clothing waste? Landfill clothing waste refers to when you discard clothing or any item, garment, and it ends up in a landfill. So how is that being negatively impacted? Is because what happens in this landfill is all of these clothes that are being discarded, they're either being burned or they're also being buried by soil. So what are the negative impacts of this? The negative impacts of this is that by burning these clothes, it raises carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. It also raises greenhouse gas emissions, along with a lot of really toxic and harmful chemicals to the environment. And so it just destroys the overall ecosystem. So starting from the land, the soil, the water, all the way up to the air, and the people and the community. The people we put an emphasis on the people and the community that are living near these landfills because they are breathing that same polluted air, that same polluted water, and they're living in that environment. So it's really affecting not only their physical health, but also their mental health as well. The world altogether generates 92 million tons of textile waste every year, and this number is only going to increase. This specific number of 92 million tons of waste is going to increase by 60% by the end of 2030. We're already in 2023. 2030 is just knocking on our door. It's right there. So we really have to start taking actions, taking a step back and figure out how can we improve our business model to kind of make a positive impact on this problem. Now I'm going to give it off to my colleague Ling Yi, who's going to further explain how dry cleaning is also another huge ethical problem that Rent the Runway is facing, and also the solution.
Thank you, Bandana, for introducing us to the pressing ethical issue of clothing landfill waste and greenhouse emission. Now, Rent the Runway offers a unique solution to tackle this problem of clothing landfill waste through renting. The renting process, when executed properly, can you use clothing that discourages the excess production. This is a small but positive step towards less clothing landfill waste. However, the whole process is not enough, and we are obligated to make the situation better. Rent the Runway sources from luxury and designer brands, most of which are made with unsustainable or less sustainable materials, and most of them can only be worn for a few times. This ultimately means that the clothing rented out to customers are not sustainable, and they will end up in the mountains of clothing landfill waste after just a few wears. To address this problem, Rent the Runway should implement shifts in their sourcing, manufacturing, material use, as well as their cleaning processes. This will uplift stakeholders across the entire supply chain. By implementing changes in the production cycles, Rent the Runway will eventually contribute to less and less negative environmental and ethical impacts of the fashion industry. Furthermore, Rent the Runway should implement changes. Rent the Runway should partner up with brands that have already implemented successful sustainability initiatives. These brands produce clothing using environmentally friendly materials. They have also adopted a successful and sustainable material and manufacturing process. Also, since Rent the Runway is a company that runs their business online, they have all the data from consumers that intells what styles are the most popular and what material is the most rented and can be worn for many times. Then Rent the Runway can translate this data to manufacturers on how to improve their durability and produce styles according to consumer demand. This way, Rent the Runway can not only provide garments to customers that are sustainable, they can also encourage the other luxury and designer brands in producing the most sustainable materials and adopting a sustainable manufacturing cycle. Furthermore, Rent the Runway should further their development in cleaning processes. Even though right now they may use some green products in cleaning, a lot of heavy chemicals will eventually cause heavy environmental and health concerns for all the stakeholders. By incorporating consumers at home garment care, focusing on the machine wash practices, Rent the Runway can decrease this adverse environmental impact. Ultimately, Rent the Runway can push the fashion industry, especially in the retail and resale sector, towards a more sustainable future, as well as decrease on the amount of clothing landfill waste produced. And now my colleague Raj is going to go deeper into the impact of our solution.
Thank you, Lily, for explaining and analyzing our proposed solutions and how it's going to impact. I'm going to more deeply get into the impact of what these fashion trends and what this fashion industry can ultimately affect the world and ethics. So as we all been once a consumer and are still a consumer of the fashion trend, our consuming and our fast fashion activities affect the landfills and affect the waste in landfills every single day. The more we consume, the more they produce, and more it goes in landfill. As one of the ethics focus in this of Rent the Runway, we should focus towards how we consume these products and how we can minimize the production and how people can hold their product more longer with themselves. Rent the Runway does this amazing job. It's a company that
2 minutes.
Rent the Runway as being one of the sustainable company that focuses on how it's gonna impact and how it's gonna bring back the sustainable and control the fashion trends, but it also lacks some of the things in achieving at its higher efficiency. So we recommend that Rent the Runway should focus on choosing sustainable clothing, which is more eco-friendly and has durable fibers, which will lead customers to hold their products longer with them, and ultimately not end up in a landfill. Our overall impact of the landfill, it's not just only for the Rent the Runway's profit, or not only just for the consumers and stakeholders of the Rent the Runway. It impacts from taking from the communities living around the landfill, from their education system, from their health system, to all this universal ethics system, to all the way back to the reflection on how the brand image looks for Rent the Runway as well. So, taking into the consideration of Rent the Runway, our proposed solution to focus on the transportation, focus on getting a durable fiber, and partnering more with our brand that focuses more on sustainability and eco-friendly clothing will help Rent the Runway achieve more sustainable and ethical framework around this business model. With that being said, we would like to conclude this presentation. Thank you very much.
Well, being a major fashionista myself, I don't know if 60 million tons is a lot compared to other industries.
92 million.
Or is it 92?
92 million tons.
92 million tons, well, that's a lot.
Every year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's-
No, sorry.
Tough subject, and you bring it down to earth, no pun intended.
Yeah. I also would agree that you took kind of a complex subject and simplified it enough for us to understand what you were saying. So, good job.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jurassic conscience next. So you can tell me when you're ready and I'll start the timer.
Awesome.
Where you want warnings.
2 minutes
2
is
minutes is
fine.
good?
Okay.
Awesome. We'll go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we can get the timer started once we begin our presentation. So my name is Lithium. I'm a third year marketing major, and with me today I have
Sarah Hunt, I'm a third year actuarial science major.
Thank you to the Colossal board for inviting us back again to further discuss the ethical implication of navigating a controversial mission such as de-extinction. With recent funding being channeled into your business by the CIA venture and your focus with the woolly mammoth, Tasmanian tiger, and the bird catching the attention of almost every prime slot business in this country, Colossal is in a position where people are now calling to the moral grounds of your company. Why these animals? As a pioneer in this industry, Colossal is, and being the first in this industry, Colossal is in a critical position to integrate ethics into potentially high-risk, high-reward spaces. However, if Colossal's mission is pulled away from sustainable intentions, Colossal can fall right into the murky waters of science being used as evil, sending your company right back into the headlines and not for good reasons. We believe in the root cause and root goodness of Colossal Company. You say in your mission you'd like to advance the biologies of technology and genetics through healing, to make humanity more human again, and to reawaken the lost wilds of Earth. We also value your duty of protecting, preserving nature, rigidly aligning your mission to continue to push the boundaries, as well as your morality and virtue. We at Jurassic Conscience want to make sure that your intentions are rigidly aligned in your actions. We want to make sure that Colossal does not shift away from its mission and the actions that Colossal pursues are reflected in its branches. We want to also ensure that ethics is a top priority for a company as yours in an industry that's not even named. And so we do that with our conversation from yesterday, expanding into our three-pronged approach, leveraging duty, consequence, and authenticity.
So thinking about our first prong in our three-pronged solution of duty, we believe that Colossal has a duty to align its mission with its innovation and research for climate action. The why behind this alignment spawns from the precedent of the Atelier conference of the 1970s, which cited the precautionary principle. Even in the face of a lack of information in the scientific community, we still have a duty to reduce harm for people and animals in reintroducing these species. And so to do this in Colossal, we recommend you lean into your mission of the intention of your mission of bringing back species that were extinct due to climate degradation from humans. And so we first recommended that you not end the research for woolly mammoths, Tasmanian tigers, and dodos, but rather have this research available and not implement these species. Doing this then helps to fulfill your promise to your stakeholders while also protecting the ecosystems to not bring these species into the environments that they wouldn't thrive in. Then, we recommended that you patent this technology to protect the information of a very potentially harmful information contained in DNA modification. And then finally, with this technology available, we recommended that you channel your actions to creating metrics and criteria for which animals to then bring back in the future. This then brings us into our second prong of our three-pronged solution, which is consequences. We believe that Colossal has the ability to create value for stakeholders, considering the impacts of bringing these species into the environment. And this is a situation because it is such a broad-reaching mission that we're trying to pursue.
introducing species on a global scale and into the environment across many borders can bring a lot of risks. So it's important that we not only create value for stakeholders, but also reduce and mitigate the risks associated with the potential harmful consequences. And so to do this, we recommend that you leverage your high influence stakeholders, such as the government, the investors, the scientific community, and some of the other sustainable business firms in the industry, to then give voice to these lower influence stakeholders, such as the local and indigenous communities, the future generations, and the animals that would be impacted by introducing these species into the natural environment. So one way to do this, we proposed through Colossal, is that we can partner with some of these local firms, some of these sustainable firms, such as conservatories and the local communities, to then pilot the animals and introducing them into the ecosystem. Rather than shocking the environment, we can gradually integrate these species into the environment so that they can be more effective and thrive in the ecosystems that they're serving. And also, on the other side of creating value, we can also reduce risk and mitigate by initiating financial security and diversifying away some of the financial risks of catastrophes, as well as measuring the metrics of implementing these species into the environment once they are out of our control. And together, this collaborative environment that we're looking to create better serves the stakeholders' needs and pushes towards replenishing life on land with a collaborative sense of climate action. And so our third prong, coming to our third prong of our three-pronged ethics solution, is authenticity. We believe that Colossal has a duty to be authentic in the way that they're communicating, in the way that you're communicating your mission. Being a first mover in this industry, we are representing the scientific community here. And so when communicating our mission out, it's important that we are transparent and leaning into that virtuous principle of our company to create a better character moving forward. Ways that we can do this, we can start internally with our employees. So first, communicating transparently with our internal stakeholders, our employees, to create a culture that is committed to pursuing ethics and sustainability. If we're all on the same page, we're clearly navigating our mission. Then, moving forward, we can then expand out and continue communicating transparently with our investors, reassuring them that this pivot in our mission is not different from what we've promised, but rather channeling their intentions of technological capabilities being used for sustainable development. And then finally, communicating with the public. We proposed that Colossal does not paint itself as a hero in this mission. It is not one company that is to be resolving the entire issue of de-extinction and climate change. Rather, we propose that you consider the partnerships and communicating the intentions, the missions, and the collaborators in this space to enhance the public's understanding of how our missions are aligning with our intentions to better replenish life on land.
So we've just walked through our three-pronged step approach, aligning Colossal's mission and hopefully reflected in their intention. Recalling back to our conversation yesterday, what does this look like if Colossal continues to go down this path and does not cement ethics at its root? Should we not leverage the duty, consequence, and authenticity, Colossal is in a very murky situation. Colossal can only sustain, your company can only sustain its business if the species are introduced into the climate with zero negative consequences. And we all know that that's not realistic. So therefore, should Colossal choose to then implement the mammoth in this environment and the mammoth dies, there goes all the money, over $225 million that you have funded so far. This also then leads to another problem that shuts down the wall for collaboration. Should Colossal choose not to collaborate with conservatories and indigenous communities, Colossal is now in a unique position that if they were to fail, trying to come back up is a sticky situation, as it cannot climb over that collaboration between conservatories and indigenous community. So then we implore to Colossal to be a strategic business, leveraging the duty, consequence, and authenticity. If Colossal were to then introduce this mammoth into the system and it all fails, based on our three-step approach, Colossal has the cushion to then restart from the beginning, not alone, but with other stakeholders involved, allowing conservatories to give their input for Colossal to start from where they are and build further. This also ties into our duty to the scientific community, slotting to Colossal not in the genre of science being used for evil, rather science being used and being projected into a collaborative method for us companies to continue to move forward.
So as we wrap up our thoughts today, we want to highlight a few key points. Currently, Colossal is sitting alone in the de-extinction industry. We are impressed by the $225 million in funding that you have created for your company, as well as the buzz that de-extinction and genetic modification has given to the industry. And while we know that this first mover advantage is not permanent, we understand that your root cause is unparalleled in the climate change combating industry. Moving forward, we understand that Colossal is not just a conservatory, not just conserving as others are, but creating. Not just creating new species, but creating value for stakeholders and really maximizing the triple bottom line in creating a longer and stronger future. And so by taking on this three-pronged approach of duty, consequences, and authenticity, and continuously reevaluating our business strategy, looking through those lenses, we know that we can better suit this future. And so thank you for allowing us to come back and chat more about the ethics of this solution. We hope that after today, you are ready to authentically tackle a long-term mission, not by Jurassic Park, but by Jurassic conscience.
One of the many extraordinary things about this event that we've all been living for the last week is the way that you share something that you've learned with us and educate all of us who haven't done the same work. I had never heard the word de-extinction before, and I obviously have a lot to learn. Thank you for starting that.
Yeah, I think you guys did very well. I don't know if anybody told you, but you both talk very fast, which you kind of need to do, but yeah, that was very well done, thanks.
Am I gonna be walking into woolly mammoths?
Next up is
2028.
A couple more years. Sir, I have to share with you when the students came to me with this topic, I thought they were pranking me. I thought they were making it up. What?
Okay, so you guys tell us what you want for timing.
2-minute warning is.
2 minutes?
2-minute warning.
So rather than say anything, I'll just hold up the victory sign.
Okay.
All right, we're ready to begin when you are. Good morning and welcome to the Monsanto executive team. We are SPAN Consulting. My name is Priya. I am Sigi.
I'm Andy.
And we thank you for the opportunity to speak and expand upon the ethical implications of our proposed recommendation. Yesterday, we concluded our presentation with the iron law of responsibility, meaning that in the long run, those who do not use their power in ways that society deems a responsible manner will tend to lose it. In other words, some may say that with great power comes great responsibility. Especially given Bayer's influence and innovation in agriculture, we think it's very necessary to explore the ethical implications of your actions. Yesterday, we discussed the issue of glyphosate, which is a carcinogen in Roundup, Monsanto's widely used herbicide. Bayer maintains the exposure to glyphosate is safe. However, there is dissonance regarding the value of these statements. A recent study published in the Journal of the American Cancer Institute showed that farmers exposed for long periods to this herbicide have many more cancer markers. Furthermore, despite Bayer's position, the company has endured nearly 100,000 lawsuits and $11 billion in settlement claims regarding to cancer. As I mentioned, there is dissonance regarding the ingredient's safety, but ultimately Bayer has lost shareholder trust and action is necessary. In response to these problems, the company has decided to replace glyphosate. However, this is only going to be in the lawn and garden sector, which makes up about 20% of the product's uses, and glyphosate will be maintained in the industrial and professional use, which makes up around 80% of the product's uses. Additionally, many of the lawsuits originate from farmers' concerns due to their extended exposure to this chemical. So this response seems to disregard the extensive human lives impacted, including cancer patients and families. Bayer's corporate life values, which are leadership, integrity, flexibility, and efficiency, are disobeyed with this response, as your shareholders' lives are at stake. These high value added workers should not undergo risks beyond those inherent to their such labor intensive jobs. Therefore, that's where we come in. Your team has hired us, Span Consulting, to help you become a sustainable and ethical leader in the agriculture industry. And Bayer has already made so many innovative practices that we just want to expand on your great work. However, you face an ethical dilemma. By employing your current solution, you take the path of least resistance. It's a straightforward approach, but you further risk further litigation and human lives. Instead, your team could extend glyphosate replacement and equip farmers with safety management practices, offering a challenging but crucial opportunity to transform sustainable agriculture practices. To quote the great Winston Churchill, "Victory will never be found by taking the path of least resistance," which is why our team implores you to consider our recommendation. We believe that you should go beyond changing labels and respond to your shareholders' concerns, as this replacement is necessary for the future of the food supply. By employing our suggestion, we provide you with the prospect of reinforcing Bayer's strong ethical foundations by practicing virtues that align with your corporate values of life. From a business standpoint, this will aid in remedying the company's reputation with the ongoing litigation and help you become an ethically driven global leader. I will now pass it over to Siggy, who will further demonstrate the complexity of the ethical issue and the ongoing tangible harm and good with the problem and solution.
Thank you so much, Priya. So let's talk about numbers and the tangible good and harm, like she just mentioned. For the problem, there is some good. It is an effective product. It generated about $18 billion in 2021, and it also generates a massive amount of jobs, from the scientific development team to the farmers. And it is also responsible for supplying to the market a huge chunk of food. But if we're talking about the tangible harm, your company has faced nearly 100,000 lawsuits on the basis of human rights and paid $11 billion on cancer claims. And it is also shown that people who have experienced longer exposure to your product have a higher cancer biomarker in their urine. But if we're talking about our solution, the tangible good is, on the logical side, the billions of dollars that will be saved from being spent on attorneys and cancer claim settlements. But on the emotional side, we were all moved by stories of people who lost and almost lost loved ones to lymphoma. So our solution will save years of lives of those people who could potentially develop cancer due to the long exposure to your product. And so, but the tangible harm of our solution is that 90% of crops all across America are genetically modified, and Monsanto owns 80% of that. So because your company is the biggest seed seller in the market, bumps in its operations, such as switching the main component of Roundup, if not done efficiently, could potentially cause a food crisis. And there could also be a little bit of waste of existing products in the market. But as far now as analyzing the actions in this case go and finding out if they're ethically defensible or not, it's quite straightforward. For the problem, the actions are not ethically defensible. Your company is prioritizing shareholder theory over stakeholder theory. It is omitting health risks from employees and consumers. And it is also the actions, they contradict the life values that Priya talked about, and they infringe human rights.
And to really add on to the human rights, there currently exists a conflict between the workers' and farmers' rights to health and safety, and also their labor rights and their rights to access a safe working environment. There's also a contradiction with their rights to acknowledge the potential harm that glyphosate could cause to the human body, and also to their harms, and also their rights their dignity rights as a human being, as every human being has an inherent equal value as a human. And so we believe our suggested solution could help you address those concerns and controversies by removing glyphosate from all your Roundup products and by teaching farmers of the potential harm of glyphosate, and by really promoting healthy common practices of ways to use herbicide and other similar chemical products. And now I can bring it back to Cindy.
Okay, so our solution, on the other hand, it makes your company more reliable by making it more transparent and honest to the consumer's eyes. It promotes justice by providing equal treatment to farmers and other workers. It also promotes features that do align with the life virtues and promote human rights. This very much shows that your company do care about the stakeholders, and these are all very much ethically defensible actions. Now back with Andy.
And in conclusion, wish for Bayer to implement a suggested solution to remove glyphosate and to educate farmers, as not only will this help them build up their strong ethical core foundation and the corporate values of life, but also help them dampen the damage that has been done to the company and its stakeholders. Now we know Bayer is good. We're trying to help you guys become even better. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't think I want to become a farmer. You guys are scary.
For you.
Yeah, very complex set of issues. You've got these two very large companies that seem to be at odds with each other. And I thought you did a great job of setting it out and telling us how to proceed. Good job.
Yeah, I applaud you for your focus on justice and human rights and virtues and bringing that up to the company. I think that.
Thank you.
Yeah, Minosihtahk.
Before we begin, just for absolute clarification, Lithium Bank is a lithium extraction company, not a bank. When we were practicing back home, we did have a little confusion.
Hello, Lithium Bank.
Before you start.
Sorry.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Do you want
The
2
bunny
minutes?
ears are good.
2 minutes?
Thank you.
Peace.
Okay, my name is Misha, and I am the Chief Ethics Officer.
I'm Rebecca, I'm the Chief Legal Officer.
And I'm Chad, the Chief Financial Officer.
So hello, Lithium Bank, and thank you for welcoming us back. We, Minosihtahk, which is the Cree word for restore, are an external consulting company and eager to dive deeper into the ethical aspects of sustainability, Indigenous perspectives, decent work aspects, and future effects. Roy Hayupis, an Indigenous elder, says that nature once broken will hit back. We believe this to be perfectly relevant to the business world today. Our solutions provide ways for your companies to become the leading lithium producer across the world. So the main problem that we have identified is that traditional mining methods have negative impacts on land that Indigenous people wish to preserve for posterity. They've spent generations taking care of and spiritually connecting with this land in ways that non-Indigenous people have not. Our solutions show how you can produce an ethical and sustainable lithium product, as well as be attractive to car manufacturer companies creating these electric vehicles. So, the question becomes, what can you do to mitigate any potential harms as well as contribute to society through an ethical lens? Well, we at Minosihtahk have a variety of solutions that we believe align with ethical perspectives as well as your company goals. By adhering to these solutions, you would be contributing to a prosperous future for all Canadians, as you mentioned in your vision statement. In a recent article, the Journal of Petroleum Technology says that companies are now competing for investment to scale direct lithium products in greater quantities. The traditional methods of mining consist of hard rock mining and solar evaporation. Hard rock mining contaminates groundwater, river, and soil. One single solar evaporation pool holds millions of gallons of water. Indigenous people believe that the negative impacts of these mining methods go against the sustainable objective of having more electric vehicles in the first place. So, our first solution is to implement direct lithium extraction, also known as DLE. Direct lithium extraction is the process of extracting lithium directly through brine deposits deep into the earth. It has no effect on freshwater and uses less than 3% of the land that traditional mining methods use. We believe that this approach would be greater benefit for your company. Before beginning such procedures, we now know that Indigenous people value informed consent and proper consultation. By having proper peaceful settlement procedures and generating norms between both parties, you can create a stronger partnership for the future. This partnership could do you many different benefits as you go into their land. Generating norms between both parties. By implementing such settlement procedures, you would be taking a proactive step on your end, as you would be mitigating the chance of any potential blockades or campaigns in your way. In addition to our suggestions, you would also be adhering to various calls to action. For example, call to action number 92, which mentions the importance of informed consent. We believe that this would be a greater addition for your company. In addition to direct lithium extraction, we also suggest the use of abundant geothermal resources. This would contribute to the long-term sustainability of lithium production facilities.
Our second solution is to pursue impact and benefit agreements, which are legal contracts that can be made between your company and Indigenous communities. These help to identify any negative impacts that the project may have and steps taken to mitigate those. They also include additional components that can be agreed upon by both parties, such as employment and profit sharing. Indigenous communities are crucially important to this as well. When we include these Indigenous people, we are able to make sure that they are equal. Professor Kieran, who is considered one of the leading authorities on Indigenous impact assessment, states that impact and benefit agreements can help bridge private sector efforts with local development needs. Indigenous women in mining development projects have historically been treated unfairly, but we think that including them in these agreements will help to repair their economic empowerment. By using these agreements and consulting with Indigenous people, you would also stand out from other companies by showing a care factor. This would be shown through considering Indigenous thoughts and feelings, with the outcome that everybody has a say in the project. You would also be able to repair Indigenous perspectives on large businesses as a whole, to repair harms previously done through contractual misunderstandings and discrepancies. In the Journal of Land Use Policy, Dr. Gavin exhorts that Aboriginal people should not be treated as barriers, but as important in and of themselves. We think that including them in these agreements will help to repair ethical actions and be a good step in the right direction towards you being an ethical company. It also helps to support the concept of pluralism, which is a two-way learning process whereby both cultures modify their practices upon new learned insights. Our third solution is to employ Indigenous peoples and previous oil and gas workers to promote decent work related to SDG number 8. We also recommend having employment quotas for these groups to ensure employment equity. These Indigenous communities are geographically situated such that it is convenient for you to employ them in your operations. According to Stats Canada, over the last 10 years, Indigenous populations have risen exponentially, creating an even greater supply of potential employment for you. Within Alberta, there are 235,000 job opportunities for Indigenous people that you can tap into. In terms of corporate social responsibility, also known as CSR, companies are free to pursue profits, but must ensure that they are not destroying natural ecosystems in that process. Companies that demonstrate CSR can improve market share and increase their competitive advantage. With our solutions, you'll be able to produce the greatest net utility and demonstrate equity. A virtuous corporation is one that acts in a way that is perceived as good by the society. We think that the values you have shown in your company goals are commendable and can have a really great positive impact. You, as the leaders of this company, must get involved to inspire change because you are instrumental in leading your employees. According to Justice Sinclair, who is an Indigenous man and a previous member of the Senate and High Court judge, he says that reconciliation is not an Aboriginal problem. It is a Canadian problem. It involves us all.
Please, close your eyes for a moment and imagine you are a person of Indigenous descent. Your land has been taken from you because you signed a contract you couldn't possibly understand. It's not just a language barrier, it's a cultural one. Ownership, in the way these people are describing it, is alien to you. To you, it's stewardship. To them, it's exploitation. You can no longer live freely where you want, as you and your descendants are pushed onto reserve lands. You can stand by idly and watch as your lands are split apart. You can no longer communicate with nearby communities and your neighbors like you used to. You value trust. It is a core value within your community. And you trusted these people innately, and that trust was betrayed. What they view as advancement, you recognize as devastation. Now please open your eyes. You can change all of that. You can treat the earth responsibly and considerately, and the spirit of the traditions of Indigenous peoples, by using sustainable, low-impact technologies. As Monisha mentioned, you can use direct lithium extraction and geothermal energy. You can create new contracts that everyone understands and that holds everyone accountable. You can empower Indigenous people with consultation and decent work. As Rebecca has mentioned, you can use impact and benefit agreements, and these can include employment opportunities. Lithium Bank has the opportunity to make this future a reality and reconcile history. Live by your vision statement, grasp onto ethical considerations, and lead the world into a future that is prosperous for all. Thank you. Oh, yes, sorry.
I thought you did a really nice job in deploying the legal and financial issues to resolve the ethical issues. I think that there needs to be more of that in our corporate thinking generally, and I thought that was a very interesting and informative aspect of your presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you know, the one phrase that I heard was nature once broken.
Oh, that was Monisha.
We moved, yeah.
That was so compelling.